try to say diversify, know what you can do best too. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's really nice of you to share that you had applied to 2000 and out of that 1500 was supply chain. But back then you didn't know, right, that maybe you would get a call back from one of the 500 other things that you had applied to. So this brings me to the next part, which is internship. Where was your internship and what was your job role during the internship? Was it remote? Was it in person? And did you learn something that you could apply back in your academics here? Or was it like you learned something from school at USC which you applied in your internship? What would you say?
So I had secured an internship at Kohler Co. So they primarily make bathroom furniture, faucets, toilets, showers, bathtubs for high-end customers. So you must have seen that company, probably any good restaurant or hotel that you go usually, right? So that is one thing that was the only thing that I was aware that they were making, but they also made engines. So the company where I landed was Kohler Engines. So they also make small scale engines. They make engines for lawnmowers, grass cutters, and all sort of things, right? So yeah, so that's where I landed. It was in Mississippi. It was in a small town called Hattiesburg. I think it was one of the first times that I was in a very small town, I would say, in a very remote state. So that was where my internship was. And to cover the main aspects, so the main project that I was part of was the PFEP, I would say. It is called the Plan for Every Part. So it's kind of a very huge database which consists of all kinds of like part information. And before I move on to the others, I would like to say that it was in supply chain, my internship, right? And because it was in supply chain, the main project was PFEP, Plan for Every Part. It was a very huge database which consists of all kinds of part information. It can be like let's say part number, the usage, weekly usage, daily demand, weekly demand, forecasted 9 month demand, and it can be um, like also if it's a common part or a spec part, it can also be where it is stored, what is the storage bin location, and what is the safety stock for that particular thing, and what is the minimum inventory level that we have for that part, or the maximum inventory level. And yeah, basically we had to put up a very big database and comprise them and consolidate them. That was the main project. The second one was, I would say, we touched upon classifying the parts as common or spec. So common parts means they are small, they can be used in most of the engines. If it's spec means spec specific, right? Like let's say you have headlights in, let's say you have a car and you have headlights. Like each car has a different headlight, but each car can have the same steering wheel, right? So that kind of analysis we have to make between parts as common or spec. And the third one that I like to tell is about process improvement activities that we made, like example ergonomics. Like let's say which is the best position for the operators who are working on the engines to for if we place the parts, right? It can be beside them or in front of them. All these things we were also part of the process. Like the project was called improving line side part presentation. Line means engine production line. And another project was at the end we were working on milk run lanes. So milk run lanes is kind of interesting. It's kind of Amazon delivery trial. So let's say you have like 10 packages, or let's say a milkman wants to deliver 10 packets, right? He will not come back to his office, pick up the milk packet for every time he's going to the customer's house, right? So what he will do is he will probably set up a plan. He'll take a specific area, let's say LA downtown, and he will go around in a particular route, so that he can minimize the amount of time he has to travel, right? So that was also some kind of thing, because we had I mean, we did not execute the project, but we just did the base work. So we had trucks, I think, which were like 20-foot trucks, if I'm not wrong, which were used to transport materials from suppliers to Kohler Engines Hattiesburg. So we had 52 truck trailers, which we had in place for the future, where we can combine many suppliers, and then we can try to incorporate all the suppliers' items based off the requirements, and then do just 2 or 3 rides so that we can cover 10-15 supplies and come back to Hattiesburg. So our company is in Hattiesburg. If you do not know, it's on kind of south, and then Majorly the suppliers were from Wisconsin, which is up north near Chicago. It was in Wisconsin, the suppliers, because the engine industry was in Wisconsin. So this is the reason, right? Before 20, 30 years. So because of this, we had to create milk run lanes where we can propose milk run lanes based. We can first we have to identify groups of suppliers. The first thing was to identify suppliers on the map of the U.S. Okay, and then the second thing was to identify groups of the vendors or suppliers, like let's say clusters, you can say, and then try to identify where we order the most from which particular cluster and target that cluster first, and then make a milk run lane so that you'll be able to minimize transportation costs and all these things. So these were the main projects that I think I would like to tell. And for your second part of the question, I think you asked me about which courses helped me, right? One of the courses which helped me a lot was inventory systems, which I taken at USC. It was my required course. The second course that I'd like to tell about is the ERP. Like I've mentioned that course for more than 6 7 times. So that's how important that course is if you want to take up ISC, guys. So that was very important. I was using hands-on ERP system, SAP. Luckily, the same thing that we had practiced on in course, and Excel too was very important. And Power BI and Access is kind of improvisation. Like if you want to impress your manager, if they don't have any projects going on Power BI or Access, you can still take up that, and you can still do that, right? Because we had the interest, so we asked our manager if we can get access, and she paid for us. So that's also some kind of thing that I like to tell. And about courses, I think these two were the most important. But all kinds of courses, like you cannot tell which course is exactly aligning, except the main one or two. All courses will give you some kind of knowledge to the work that you're going to do. So it's not like any course is a waste or any course is uh, the best. So it's all depends upon how you approach also. So yeah, that's it.
Got it. And so you mentioned that your internship was in person in Hattiesburg and how you worked on different projects in supply chain, how you got to learn that Kohler is not only focusing on bathroom products but also engines for land movers and things like that. So would you say that doing an internship gave you an edge when it came to finding a full-time jobs, or would you say that it didn't matter if somebody didn't get an internship, they could do a course and it would still give them the same learning experience? Would you weigh the experience out of an internship slightly more than that somebody would get by just doing a few ISC courses over the summer?
So this also depends upon your experience, I would say. Let's say you have experience back in India. I don't want to tell names, but I know people have had good experiences in India. Probably have not had any internship experience here in the US, but still have gotten into the best companies in their respective fields. That's one case. But if let's say you are a fresher, you already do not have anything on your resume for work experience. Then if you also do not have an internship, then it's going to be difficult. So let's say if you want to take up the similar path, let's say you want to take up masters in engineering management. You have 3 years of experience um, in let's say Google as a software engineer, and your main goal was to only product management. Then MEM is a very good option. And even though if you failed at getting an internship, full time must be a cakewalk because you have very good experience and very good college, right? So that is one thing. But let's say you do not have any experience, then I think it's very difficult for you to have an edge over others. So if you don't have experience, I would say first thing try to get an internship. But if you have the experience, two people have got internships and they are much better than without internships too. But it all depends upon. It's very subjective, I would say. I'm not saying like not getting internship is not the end of life too. Like I know many people who have not got internship without even experience in India, who came as a fresher but still have secure jobs. So that's possible too, but that is very less possible, I would say. That's very very difficult for you to move. So best thing for you to do is if you don't have experience in India, or even though if you have, I would say try to get internship. You can get some experience, and I think employers here they look up for the US experience. So I'd actually have 3 experiences back in India, two in India, one here. For this company, but the company I'm working right now, they just checked the experience that I had in the US, even though the experiences back in India were more relevant. So what I'm doing right now is quality. And in India, I had done process improvement, lean, which was similar to quality. I would say not similar, but more aligned to than supply chain. But still, they checked the supply chain. Probably it was easy for them to check the US employees with the SSN and stuff like that. But still, I think people consider US work experience as something essential if you want to get a corporate life in the US. So,
Yeah, I really liked your answer, Nitin, where you said that it's all individualistic in this regard because specifically when you're applying for full-time jobs, your resume will also have experiences from back in India. And if you have worked at really good firms in India, like one of the big fours, let's say you want to get into consulting and you have experience at one of the big four for 3 or 4 years, because like when we are doing masters, we are just not meeting people who are of the same age group as us. There are people with 6 years experience, some have completed like working as a manager and then are looking to transition into something even better or switch into some different role. So it's very important to understand your profile really well so that if you want to land a full-time job, you can play it to your advantage. So if like you had a background like me or Nitin wherein we did not have a full-time experience after our undergrad degree in India, then you can just focus on getting an internship as much as you can. But if you don't get it for some reason, then that's okay. Like Nitin said, it's not the end of world. You can obviously take up some courses at USC, or you can just try and work at some unpaid internship alongside doing some courses over the summer. That way it will help you reduce your course load, and it will also help you to make sure that you have some experience that is US based on your resume. Although it's not paid, but work experience does count because you get to interact with people, understand how teams are working, what are the industry wide tools that are getting used, and maybe you could learn or do a certification in that tool later on. Yeah, Nitin, you wanted to add something to this?
yeah. So this particular point, I would like to tell that some people that I know, I would say, who have had proper experiences in India. Let's say they have experience in EY, for example, as a management consultant or whatever the role, and they want to get into technical consulting or whatever the thing that is. Take up ISC. They have, let's assume they have contacts in the US already. Getting an offer is as simple as ABC for full time. So if you know people who are working in the US teams and you already worked with them and you know there's a possibility, there's an opening already, then doing a master's is the easiest way to get a job in the US in that particular firm itself. So I know people who have also done that too. Not close to me, but friends of friends. But still, that is a very, very good option. So getting good experience in India is also very important if you want to do masters in the US, and you can use that to get a full-time job as
That's
well.
really good advice. You're saying that if like somebody has already worked in some big company for multiple years and just wants to do a master's and then continue, if the same company exists in the US on a US pay scale and in the US, they can do that simply by pursuing a master's
Yeah.
and going back to the same company, but just making sure that they know the contacts that they have in that company.
Yep. That's correct.
Yeah, and like I wanted to ask you, so you said that you had a lot of internship, uh, like application process to learn from, change your resume, then apply to like over 2000 roles. What did you change when you started applying for full-time jobs, and how did you land the full-time job that you did? And what would you say were the key factors that you improved on like from your internship experience in your full-time experience?
So for application process, I guess nothing really changed, but the requirements changed, right? Because when you see the keyword intern while applying, it's easy for you to apply. But in full time, let's say you want to get into data engineering, it might say entry level, but it might expect 4 5 years of experience. Let's say supply chain, it might want you to work, let's say for 2 3 years already with the bachelor's. So that's kind of difficult. So application is simple, like you just click apply button and then apply, right? But choosing which one to apply is very important because you have to apply for H1B sponsored thing. Like you can't just apply for random companies which are not even e-verified. So you must apply for companies. You must check if the company is e-verified, and check if they have done sponsorship if you want to be in the US for a long time. And then I would say uh, uh, the perm process too. There's a process called perm that you do after H1B, right? So if company is doing perm process, then they'll obviously do H1B process. So that's an easy way to figure out if the company knows what H1B is or not. So all these things, I would say, use a tool called F1 Hire. So that's a very important tool. It can tell you if the company is e-verified, if the company has sponsored visa, if the company has done the perm process. So perm process is kind of the green card process, which is important for immigrants like us. So if people have done that, then they must know how to sponsor you for H1B too. So these three are the key factors that you must look for full time, because for internships you can work at kind of any company in the US, but these three you should have if you want to work in, let's say, um, a full time job in the US for in OPT. So yeah, these were the things that I would say look before you start applying. And obviously, like if you
Mm-hmm.
apply for a set of few months for internship and then you take a break, you go to someone and come back and apply for full time, you must yourself realize many changes that you can make, right? Like it can be resume changing strategies, it can be your confidence while giving interviews, it can be many things, and I cannot specify and list out all these things, but I can say that my confidence improved, my approach towards applying improved, finding out which was more relevant improved, and all these things. So there are many things that I would say which can improve, but it's very difficult to list out all these things. So yeah.
Understood. And Nitin, so like you said, your internship was in supply chain at Kohler's, like the domain that you focused on during the internship was supply chain. So what was it during the full-time job? Where is your full-time job right now? If you are comfortable to share about it, like what are you still working in supply chain or have you moved on to quality? Anything that you would want to share with the viewers who are listening?
Oh, I started working with supply chain in my internship. It was like almost 11 month of 12-month experience, and then I applied for a senior supply chain quality role with a company called BEI. It's called Boeing Onco Interiors, and I think they required experience for that role. And then they were like, okay, we have a junior role as well, and then that's when I applied for the quality engineer role. So it's kind of quality engineer role now. I'm focusing on quality right now, but uh, the management people in my company, they know that I'm kind of interested in supply chain, so I'm excited for some supply chain processes. So um, in my this current job, we already have a quality engineer working, and I'm an addition to him. So I would obviously lessen his burden and take up more responsibilities, but I'm also excited to explore the supply chain side of things too. If not quality, quality is also a very good aspect of engineering. That's I'm enjoying learning a lot right now. But even if they be like, okay, tomorrow, Nathan, we want you to talk to suppliers, or uh, there are many things with suppliers. It can be planning, it can be choosing suppliers, having a metric for the supplier, and all these things. If they want me to manage all those things, I'll be very happy to do that too. So I'm not very concerned about, okay, I just want to do quality, I just want a supply chain. So it's all about exploring and learning new things every day, and then trying to improve yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, and I like that approach honestly because if you keep yourself open to learning experiences in different areas of your job, then maybe you're hired for a particular role in a company, but it's highly possible that eventually, if there are different teams under your company, like for instance, let's say you get hired as a quality engineer, but your company knows that you're enthusiastic about supply chain, and once you start working for a couple of months, develop that rapport with your managers and with different teams, you can understand that, oh, if they need someone, they can simply just ask you to laterally shift in a different role in the organization, and that's not very difficult in the US. So it's important to be open to taking on different roles if you don't exactly land the role of your choice. But at the same time, you can always keep in your mind that you wanted to do this, and if an opportunity which resonates with you shows up in your company, then you should like inform the managers or the hiring people, and then they'll make sure that they consider you for the role because you're already in the company and you know about the different projects that the company is already working on. So that gives you like an added advantage.
Yes, I completely agree. It's important to have a wide open knowledge and try to be flexible, and you might figure out what you want, and the company might also understand your strengths, and you can gradually shift if you want to. So yeah, there are many possibilities.
Now, I think we covered everything academic, technical. I want to like move towards a little personal question. So, in the 2 years of your masters at USC, what would you say was your most memorable moment, and like what were the things that you enjoyed the most in these 2 years, and something that you feel that every Trojan who's coming to USC should make the most of?
So one thing that I liked was hustling culture, because you had many things on your plate. So first thing, it was internships application. It was your courses that you had to study. It was your also your exams that you had to prepare. It was also your part-time jobs, cooking, cleaning, all these things. So you will never have free time in the US. You can only allocate time, is what I feel, right? So that hustling culture, I think, made me learn a lot. The second thing is the different kinds of people that you will meet in LA if you come to USC. It's not like only one set of people that you will meet from different countries, different cultures. So you can understand if you have many friends, or you have to make many friends, I would say, and learn about different cultures, what what they have done in their countries, or what experience that they have. Like let's say I'm put into a ERP course, and I would suggest that please don't stick on to only uh, people from your country. Let's say if you're from India, please don't stick on to forming groups only from your country, because you will not learn as much. Try to interact with other people. Let's say he's from Turkey or Kazakhstan or whatever it is. It can be America, Iran, Iraq, or Europe, Italy, Spain, wherever. Like what they are doing in their industries in their countries, or it can be many things. They have so much to for you to learn from them. So that is more important than you just having a comfort zone with your friends from India who can speak the same language. So yeah, I think that is one thing. Also, you'll meet. There's cultural diversity, and like I said, the hustling mentality in the US is very good. And the third thing I would say is the food. Surprisingly, food. So in India you always get food which is more Indianized, right? Any cuisine will be more Indianized, more spiced up, more salty, and all these things. But in this country, you have specific cuisines which can offer you a wide range of culinary experiences. It can be Nepalese, it can be Indian, it can be Mediterranean, Chinese, Thai, or you can have countless, or it can also be, I would say, Italian too. And many cuisines that they have in the US, right? So each one I think will have a very close, authentic taste to it. So this is what I feel are the three main good things about USC, LA, or America in general.
Interesting. And what would you say were the hardships that you faced here? Because I know that you said all the good points, but to anyone who is coming here, what should they be mentally prepared for? Like beforehand, because it's not like what you think it is. Like Nithin said, oh, you'll get to eat all these cuisines and do all that, but it also comes at some cons or disadvantages. So, what would you say were some of the setbacks you faced early on when you came here, but then eventually you made your peace with it or got used to it?
So I would like to, if you want to talk about negatives, then I can give you a long list of things. But yeah, I still give you a long list of things. But this is not what I faced only. So it's about general US. It's not something I faced and I struggled and I went down bad and then recovered. It's not something like that. But these are general things that I noticed. So the first thing that you when you come to US is uncertainty, right? Every step that you have in the US, it can be any step, until
Oh
you
my God.
receive your PR, a green card, or even green card is subject to many different things, right? If it's everything comes with uncertainty, it can be anything. So that is one thing that is very difficult for us to understand, because if you're in India, you're in a good place, you know many things, and you can also have the right for most things that you can do. So that is one thing, uncertainty. Second thing is family and friends and the kind of culture that, okay, let's say your friend calls, okay, you want to eat a vada pav, you want to eat a say puri, or you just want to eat some chaat, or just have a scooter, you just have a bike, and you just want to go have a chai, tea, coffee, or just boost, just whatever. Let's say you want to hang out,
Boba.
yeah, whatever the thing, you can just in India.
Chai latte.
Yeah, so all these things are Americanized, right? So all these things, if you have friends and family, if you have good set of friends and a decent, decent family in sense, good family supporting you, you will miss this a lot, because you can just call up your friend, be like, okay, do you want to eat some chaat, or do you want to eat some milkshake, and you can just drive your scooter or bike or even your car, depending on whatever you like to do, and then you can,
How do you eat a milkshake, Nitin?
yeah, drink a milkshake or whatever, drink whatever it is. So all these things you will miss in this country, because you don't have that kind of culture where you can just take a bike and go. It's not possible at all. So you must have a car, and places are distant from each other. Without a car, it's very difficult. And so meeting friends, families is one of the drawbacks, I would say. I think I covered two, right? Uncertainty and then family, friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So third one, I would say if you are a couple, I think it's somewhat better, because you might have someone to do things with you. Like let's say you want to go to a movie or something like that, or you just want to cook or whatever it is, you have someone to be help with you. But if you're single in this country, if you have good friends, then fine, no issues. But if you don't have very good friends, or I think even if you have friends, I feel this country is very selfish. I'm not saying everyone in this country are selfish, but it's just that selfish by, I mean, they want time for themselves. It is right, I agree. I'm not saying it is wrong, but it's just the way that this country is set up. You just have to have time for yourself, because laundry, all these things are not easy to get outsourced, right? So people become selfish, I feel, in this country. So that's what I felt, so that I do not like, because what is the point of just focusing on only yourself? You don't have someone who can, you can, you can share many things to. So that is one thing. So people become very independent, so it kind of gets to you sometimes. So that is one thing. And other than that, yeah, the job market that we have to touch upon is very bad now. So we are not getting internships, not full times, not in the specific fields that each person might want to. So this is very difficult now. It's been the same for last 2 years, last 1.5 years already. From 2023, early 2023 to mid 2024, it is the same. Sadly, we were the worst part of the
In internships and in full times.
internships. I think it was still okay. Full times, we were worst hit. I feel for the last 1.5 years, it has been very bad in the entire country, and we had to apply only for the last 1.5 years. Right, we did not have to apply for the entire life of 24 years, and only this time we are facing this. So that is one thing I would say. Other than okay, this first one was the uncertainty. Second one was friends, families, and then I would say like job market and stuff like that. And yeah, so if you are alone, then single, then some things you might have to do a lot of things, alone in this country, which also kind of, if you're a person always who wants have to have friends with you, it's not reasonable, because they also have other things to do, right? Because in the sense, I feel like if you're in this country, let's say you hang out a lot, you can hang out with friends a lot, but still at some point they may want to have their space for themselves, because they want to do their work. They want to cook, clean, and all those things, right? So it's kind of very difficult managing all this. But back in India, we it was like different. So yeah, these four, I think I would like to say.
Nitin was like constantly telling all the single people out there that go get a partner. No, I'm just kidding. But what Nitin said is actually right, because here I wouldn't say it's selfish particularly, but it's more of like an individualistic approach towards life, wherein you want to like spend some hours working out, you want to get good food, you want to go to for lectures, apply for jobs. So many a times people want to focus on self growth so much because everyone has come here to do their masters for a particular reason. They want to achieve something, they have goals. So because of that, things like socializing or doing things that could take off time from your daily planned activities is a little difficult for people in general, and they are not that open because they feel that, oh, everyone should accommodate as per my schedule, or we will only do things when it falls in the schedule of things that we have listed out for the day. And I really love the fact that Nitin put it so well in by saying that everything here is uncertain, because if you want to like apply for a visa or anything when you're starting out your master's journey, you will realize this. There are so many factors that you will have totally no control over. So, for anyone who's used to planning or who's used to taking some steps in advance to ensure that things don't fall out of place, it's very difficult because you will have done everything that is in your control, but yet some major decision would be left up to uncertainty. And that's really stressful. It leads to anxiety at times, it causes you to overthink. But this is how multiple things here are designed. But what you need to have is a very strong mindset that, okay, I have done my part, and if the other things are uncertain, well, so be it. But this approach or this mindset takes really long to develop. I didn't have it when I started out in my journey. I was like, oh, I used to come keep thinking like, what if this goes a certain way and it's not the way that I wanted it to. But eventually you will learn to get used to that system. Also, in terms of food, we don't have many street food options apart from like tacos or maybe some. I think tacos were the only thing that I saw mostly around USC as food trucks. But there are not many diverse options that are cheap and pocket friendly. So if you're going out for a meal, one can expect $10 to $15 gone if you're eating at a restaurant, because obviously there is tips, then there is the meal cost, and all of that which gets added onto it. So going out daily is not something that is as simple as it used to seem in back in India for me personally. But I would say that yes, it does teach you a lot in terms of managing your time, establishing social relationships, and also learning to enjoy your day by yourself, because you won't find people to do everything here in the United States. If you want to go for a movie, at times none of your friends will be available, or even at, like Nitin said, even if you have a partner, your partner might not be available because if your partner is pursuing a master's or some other course like you, then they'll have their set of things to take care of. So you should be completely prepared and equipped to do things by yourself when people are not available. That seems a lot at first, but once you get used to it, it's just daily habit. But yeah, thank you so much, Nitin, for like coming on the podcast today and sharing so many good and bad experiences that you had, because it helped everyone understand the whole picture about how life in the US looks like, as well as how ISC as a course is. So thank you so much for joining me today and enlightening our user not users, I would say, for enlightening all the viewers about what a master's in ISC looks like. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I hope I imparted some knowledge to the viewers who might potentially, uh, hopefully, be in millions in the future viewing the podcast of Shreya. So, yeah, all the best to you guys, and Shreya, all the best to you too for this exciting new venture. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. I would love to know your thoughts about what you enjoyed the most in this episode and what you would like me to discuss in the future episodes. See you in the next